Hi guys, this is Krisha Sarah Bowen, also known as the Giant Slayer, and today I want to talk about momentum. I thank you for taking this time out to join me in this live video. So as I said, my name is Krisha Sarah Bowen, and I am passionate about helping people push past pain and passionately pursue purpose. I also believe that my life's mission is to influence thought to change behavior. So everything I do is about teaching you how to influence your thought life, teaching you how to change what you're thinking there, so you can change the results of your life. I'm so excited to share this information with you guys that I'm just stepping all over everything that I want to say. But I want to talk about momentum, and momentum talks about movement. It talks about the quality of movement and really a particular object or thing achieving that great momentum in terms of what it is doing. And today I want to talk about momentum because momentum makes things bigger and better than they are because it causes expansion. So let me say that over again. Momentum makes things bigger and better than they are because it causes expansion. There's a lot of talk sometimes about momentum and people talking about they have lost their momentum. Maybe you've started something and you've lost your zeal for doing it. Even it being August, the 8th month of the year, people have lost their momentum because they've started January with a lot of excitement, a lot of vigor. We've got all these words and we said that this was gonna be our year, but now you woke up and it's August and it doesn't seem like it is your year at all. It seems like you have lost your momentum. But what momentum does is momentum sees growth. So even though your life is in this particular place, for you to really have momentum, it means that you are seeing ahead of where you are. It means that you are seeing something bigger. You are seeing this expansion. You are seeing this growth, even though it's not what you are seeing right now. It's not eminent, but to keep the momentum means that you have this goal in front of you. You have this thing that you're going towards, and you're not going to stop until you see this thing materialize. But how do you get that energy to keep going? How do you get that inspiration to keep going when you have lost momentum, when you have lost zeal, when you have lost that actual drive, that inner drive on the inside of you that's telling you to keep going? How do you keep going in the midst of losing all your momentum? The first thing that you have to do is that momentum throws the goal higher than the blockage. So momentum throws the goal higher than the blockage. If you think about throwing a ball, anytime that you throw a ball, if you throw a ball up in the air, if you're gonna catch it, you look up at the ball. This is what momentum does. Momentum throws the goal. Momentum throws the end result. Momentum throws the vision up higher than the level that you are at right now. So for you to gain momentum, it means then that you throw the goal, you throw the expectation, you throw what you're trying to achieve higher than where you are right now. And when you throw it up higher, then you are able to see expansion and growth because your eye is now removed from the situation and you now look up at that goal, you look up at that vision, you look up at that thing that you want to achieve because you need to continue to have the momentum. So what does momentum do? Momentum throws the goal higher than the blockage. So that thing that seems like it stands in your way, for you to get your momentum and to end 2017 strong, you got to throw the goal higher than the blockage. So pull back out those notebooks, pull back out those dream books, pull back out those journals that you have, where you have written your things January 1st, 2017, and you have prophesied over yourself everything that you would do this year in terms of goal. This is August and it's no time to lose momentum. It's time to pull out the goal and throw it up higher than the blockage so that your eyes now begin to see growth and expansion. How do we get momentum? We need to change our view of the problem. And how do we change our view of the problem? It means then that we have to have a track record. You have to now be documenting your progress and your process if you want to achieve momentum. People oftentimes set goals, but they set open-ended goals that have no type of measurement, that have no type of target. And I shared a post earlier and I said the target does not create limitation, but the target creates focus. How do I know where I'm going if I have no target? And it's time for us to stop being scattershot individuals with our goals, that we are just shooting the arrow at everything that we see without having a target. A target does not limit you, but a target gives you focus. Do you want to get back your momentum? You need to place your eyes on the target. Somebody say, place your eyes on the target. Place your eyes on the target. So first, I said you must throw the goal up higher than the blockage. Number one. Throw the goal up higher than the blockage. Number two, you must have a target and you place your eyes on the target. So if I want to have that momentum, that drive, that quality, that expansion of growth, it means that I'm expecting to do this great thing and I have my eyes on it, so I'm going towards it and I have this momentum, I have this drive that keeps me going, that keeps me pressing until I achieve the goal. A goal without a measurement is simply a wish, and we don't deal with wishes. We deal with goals, we deal with achievement, we deal with action, we deal with plans. A vision is pointless without a point. How does a vision get a point? A vision gets a point when I begin to take my pen and I begin to write the vision and make it plain. So vision is pointless without a point. How do I give my vision a point? I begin to write it, and the vision propels the momentum. Because I have a target, because I have a set goal, because I want to achieve something particular, it means then that I have momentum because of creating my vision. Do you want the next step? Somebody say yes. Say yes, 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 yes. If you want the next step to having momentum, you must understand the value of your goal. If your goal is not valuable to you, you will never pursue it. So how much value are you putting on the goals you said that you wanted to achieve? Because anything without value is taken for granted. So if you do not have a value system for your goals, it means that you would lose momentum because you do not understand the value that's associated with this particular goal. Understand the value. So I like sports, right? You never know it, right? But I like sports, so I like to use a lot of analogies from sports. And you know, when you're watching basketball, any basketball fans, if I have any basketball fans, say me. So when you're watching basketball, there are times in the game when they would call a timeout. And the timeout is really used to reset, refocus, and to gain the momentum. So when one team sees that another team is gaining that momentum, you see they call a timeout. So if your opposition is just getting too many baskets, you will see the coach say timeout, because it means that his team has now lost their focus. His team has now forgotten the game plan. So when they say reset and they call it timeout, it's a time where we bring this goal back in front of us. So I need you on the inside. Number 8, I need you playing here. I need you to play defense. I need you to tackle him harder. So when we get the reset, when we call the timeout, is when you revisit the game plan. It's when you see the momentum building of the other team. Then what would happen is the coach would call timeout so that he could bring his team back into perspective, so that he can throw the goal up higher, so that he can remove the blockage, because maybe their momentum has died, maybe their confidence has taken an attack, so they keep missing shots and they keep being sloppy on the field. But when the team calls timeout, you see them showing them the plan. You see them re-strategizing. You see them looking at the target. You see them with a vision, and they give it a point so that they can actually get that momentum, get fired up, get the confidence to go again. What do you do that when you see that you are losing in the game? What do you do? Do you call a timeout and do a reset? Listen, yesterday I had to call a timeout because I was just going and doing. And the objective became an obsession. When the objective becomes an obsession, it's a very dangerous place to be in, because that too can hinder your momentum, right? And I had to call timeout. We had to call timeout and revisit the plan, revisit the structure, revisit that which I committed to do in this year. So maybe you're watching this live video and you have lost momentum. Have you lost momentum? Can I see some eyes up in here? Let's be honest. It's August and we don't know what's going on. We have lost momentum. If you have lost momentum, it's okay to call timeout. It's okay to call timeout and say we need to re-strategize. We need to get the goal back in front of our face. We need to begin looking at this goal again, because maybe the opposition is winning and the opposition is coming to bring defeat. The opposition is coming to tell you you're not good enough. The opposition is coming to tell you give up. 2017 is not your year, maybe 2018. But I want to tell you, get back in the game. Call timeout, do the reset, and get your momentum. I don't know what point we're on now, but whatever the next point is, maybe number 3. I want you to look at what are your motivating factors. So we talked about looking at value, right? Now we want to talk about motivation. Because to have momentum, you have to have motivation. And sometimes that motivation doesn't come from the outside, but it comes from the inside. So if your environment is not motivating you, then your environment has to. So sometimes the only encourager that you have is yourself. So I need you to get on the stands and begin to become a cheerleader. Look at the motivating factors. So begin to, as you look at the goals and you call the timeout and you restructure and you want to get the momentum is coupled with motivation. So you must have that motivation. You must have that inner drive that tells you to keep going, keep going, keep going. Even when you miss the basket, keep going. Even when you miss the tackle, keep going. Even when they call the timeout, keep going, keep going, keep going, because there's a goal, there's a prize, there's something that you want to achieve, there's something that you want to win. I was just sharing on Periscope a while ago that while I was watching the championship game, there was this woman from Australia called Pearson, and she was running the hurdles. And I was looking at her as she ran the hurdles. And the amazing thing about it is she never knocked over one hurdle, right? She just kept jumping. So she jumped hurdle 1, she jumped hurdle 2, she jumped hurdle 3, she jumped hurdle 4, and she just kept jumping. And I was so amazed because I'm used to seeing people knocking over the hurdles, right? She didn't look to the left, she didn't look to the right. She just had her game plan on. And her game plan was not even to get to the finish line. Her game plan was to jump the next hurdle. What is your game plan? What motivates you? Are you saying, I just want to jump the next hurdle? It doesn't matter if I get to the end. Let me just jump the hurdle of this week. Let me just jump the hurdle of today. Let me just jump the hurdle of this hour. Let me just jump this hurdle. Let's not look at the end, but let's look at the now. So she jumped these hurdles. She jumped. And then when she crossed the finish line, she looked up at the results. So to my surprise, she was like, oh my God, I won. So I'm thinking, wasn't the objective of the race to win? But I think more than winning, her objective was to cross the next hurdle. That's momentum. That's momentum. When you can look at just crossing the next hurdle. Let me just make it over this one. Let me just make it over this one. And she just ran her race while the other people in the lanes were looking around and they were knocking over their hurdles and they lost their focus. Man, this woman from Australia, she was just running. And when she crossed the finish line, then she looked up at the leaderboard and she saw that she had won. Very much surprised, because guess what? Her objective was have the momentum, cross each hurdle and you'll make it to the end. It does not matter the pace once we make it to the end. You don't worry about who's going at 90 miles per hour, who's going at 100 miles per hour, who's going at 200 miles per hour. If all you can do is 20 miles per hour, do your 20 but cross your hurdle. Do your 40 but cross your hurdle. Don't look at the people who are speeding in the fast lane. Don't look at the people who are driving the Subarus and the Lamborghini. If you got your Toyota, man, rock your Toyota. Don't look at those in the fast lane, but look at your lane and keep crossing your hurdles to keep your momentum. Somebody say momentum. Somebody say momentum. Now I think we are at number 4, right? Look at the patterns. Look at the patterns. Self-sabotage is the enemy to momentum. And human beings, we run to pleasure and we run from pain, which oftentimes causes us to overlook cycles. When we overlook cycles, we don't learn the lesson. Look at the patterns. Do you know why? Because when you look at the patterns, then you can come up with a different game plan. I like sports, guys. We're going to be using sports a lot, right? If you look at cricket, what they do is that they study the opponent. They study each player. So if they know that Chris Gayle does not like spin bowling, guess what they're going to do? We're going to give Chris Gayle all of the spin bowling that he can get. You know why? Because the objective is that we want him out. The objective is that we need to get him out of this game. Because if he's here, he's going to make a lot of runs. Are you looking at the patterns and then strategizing based on your patterns? So if you know that every year you go through the same thing over and over and over. I always say that there are a lot of people who maybe they're 30 years old, but in their life they are probably 5 years old because they've lived the same year of their life over and over and over. So they haven't grown. And momentum is about expansion and growth. But when you don't look at the cycle, when you don't look at the pattern, self-sabotage becomes the enemy of momentum. So when you don't look at the pattern, right, you don't look at the goal and you're going through the cycle. Maybe you were just 5 years old in a 30-year-old body or 40-year-old body or 10 years old because you're making the same decisions over and over and over, not learning the lesson, going through the same hurdles. And guess what? You aren't winning the race because you're not paying attention to the patterns. So you need to have momentum. I am here to spark you today, right? It's not the end of the year and December is far away. Far away. So I need you to bring those goals back out and I need you to throw them up higher than everything else that has hindered you. I need you to throw them up higher than everything else that has kept you back. And I need you to move past the blockage, re-strategize, call the timeout, but get back in the game. Because only people in the game have the ability to win. If you're sitting in the stands, I don't have an ability to win if I'm in the stands because I'm not in the game. I can't jump any hurdles if I'm not even on the track. And I can't hit a home run if I'm not even facing any ball. But if I throw the goal up higher, I call the timeout, I value my goals, I begin to understand them, I begin to re-strategize and restructure and say, okay, come on, what do you need to do? The voice of the coach is the loudest in the ear of the winner. Do you know why? If you talk to any athlete that has won, what do they say? I heard my coach. I heard my mom. I heard my dad. I heard somebody was giving them that inspiration so that when they felt like they wanted to give up, the voice of the coach is loudest in the ear of the winner. What did they hear? They heard when they were in practice and the coach said push. They heard when the coach said go harder, you can do it, swing harder, run harder. They heard every encouragement, right? Because the coach isn't there with you when it's time to face the game. When you're facing life, you are there to face the music on your own. But what are you using to guide you when you're facing the music? When you're facing the music, do you have that voice in your ear that's telling you, come on, you can do it, push, give you that momentum, give you that momentum. Do you have that internal drive, that fuel, that even when your environment says you can't do it, even when your environment says you can't achieve it, that you say in your environment, your inner man, you begin to do like David, and you encourage yourself, and you say, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I could do this. I can make it. I can do it. I can push. I can make it. I can push through. That's how you get momentum. Encourage yourself. I can do this. I can push. I am brave. I am bold. I am confident. I am strong. I can do this. I can do it. And you begin to hear that in your ear, and that gives you that drive, that gives you that push, that gives you that energy, and most importantly, it gives you your momentum. If you know anyone who would get value out of this video, please do me a favor, share it on your page, invite them, tell a friend you need to go check out that video called Momentum. Girlfriend, you have lost your momentum. Guy friend, you have lost your momentum. Child, husband, wife, you have lost your momentum. But go look at this video, and you know what, get a hold of your momentum. Thank you guys so much for joining me.